Okay. Am I live? I guess so. Hello, hello. All right. I'm super excited to be here for my weekly energy forecast. Okay, I guess I am live. All right, welcome. Sorry. I could not tell if I was live for a second. So if you are here and you are watching, please say hi so I can connect in with your energy and say hi to you. I'm super excited to be here. So what am I talking about today? Oh, we're talking about one of my favorite topics, boundaries and money. But first I want to just talk a little bit about like the current energies and why I think that this is such an important topic to talk about right now. Because you guys probably heard me talking about this last week, but it's really pertinent still. So we are in this like eclipse portal right now where we are between two eclipses. So we had the eclipse on April 30th, and then we also have the eclipse happening on Monday, May 16th. And then between, so that's a really powerful portal of energy where we're kind of being like pushed into stepping into a more what's the word, like aligned version of ourselves. So we're kind of being forced to let go of what's no longer working for us. And then we're also being forced to kind of be really real and honest with ourselves about what we truly want, who we truly want to be, and what kind of life we truly want to live. Um, so so we're kind of being pushed right now, right? And we're kind of being pushed out of this state of codependency, which you've heard me talk about a lot, and into this state of really truly honoring yourself and what you know to be true for yourself versus taking actions and making decisions based on other people or people pleasing or what you think you should do versus what you actually want to do. So because of this energy that we're kind of being pushed into, I felt like it was the perfect time to talk about boundaries and money because this is something that comes up at every single level of growth is where are you setting boundaries, but what boundaries really are, right? Because we talk about boundaries a lot and people are always like, oh, well, I need to set a boundary with this person or I need to have better boundaries. But really, if you get underneath of what a boundary actually is, a boundary is actually you just honoring yourself and holding yourself in the highest regard. Because essentially, when you don't have good boundaries, what you're saying is like the other person or something outside of you is more important than you, and that you're willing to sacrifice yourself and your own well-being. Hi. Wait, can you guys tell me who you are? Because I'm using StreamYard and I can't see people's names. Which is one of the downsides of using StreamYard. But anyway, so essentially what you're saying is that my needs are not important. Oh, hi, Crystal. I'm so excited you're here. Welcome. I loved your reel that you posted the other day, by the way. I was like, that was so spot on. I don't remember what it said now, but it was really good. But anyway, you always post like really amazing knowledge and wisdom. So anyway, back to what I was saying, you're welcome. Back to what I was saying about the about boundaries, right? So essentially what we're really talking about with boundaries is we're actually just talking about honoring yourself and holding yourself in a really high regard, period, and being really fucking honest about what you actually want and what is actually in alignment for you. Because a lot of times what can happen, and I was talking about this last week with the quantum priestess ladies, is when you grow up and you don't have good boundaries modeled to you and your parents were emotionally immature, meaning that they had trauma that they weren't dealing with, and they were projecting their stuff onto you. It's not their fault. They didn't know any better, but essentially this is what happens with everybody, is when you didn't have proper boundaries modeled to you growing up, you can have a really hard time knowing what emotions are yours and what emotions are other people's. Because when you're growing up with parents who didn't have good boundaries and who projected their trauma onto you, you automatically felt responsible for their emotions because they kind of made you feel responsible for their emotions. Again, not necessarily their fault because they didn't know any better, but when you had parents who kind of made you feel responsible for their emotions, then essentially you would derive how you feel based on how they feel. So it would be hard to know what your feelings are versus their feelings because you enmesh, right? That's what enmeshment is, when you don't know the difference between you and somebody else, and you enmesh with the other person, and you don't know what's what, right? So when it comes back to setting boundaries, if we do have that enmeshment, it can be difficult to know what is your emotion and what is the other person's. So part of setting really good boundaries means getting really clear on what you actually want, not what you think you should want, not what other people think you should want, or not what society tells you should want, not what your programming tells you should want, not what the education system tells you should want, but what you actually want. That's the first step. And that can be actually incredibly scary for people because it means admitting something about yourself and who you really are and what you truly want that you may not have admitted before. Yeah, so it can be scary. So that's the first part of this, right? Of boundaries, because I think people have a misconception about boundaries where it's like something that you actually have to do. And it's true. You may have to say to somebody, hey, this is not okay with me, or I don't like when you do that, or I prefer if you did it this way. That's true. However, once you get to a certain energetic level within yourself and it's interesting to see how many people don't even say what they actually want. That's so true. And I think a lot of it too is because people are so scared of not getting what they want because they're not used to getting it or being rejected that they don't even say it, right? But then what happens is you don't say it and then you just try to like emotionally manipulate to get your needs met, or you just get upset that your needs aren't getting met, but you're not even saying what you need. So anyway, so then when it comes back to boundaries, right? Yes, we may have to say something, right? However, once you start to hold a certain energy within yourself and you start to hold yourself in a certain regard where you are not available for being treated a certain way, you're not available for certain conversations, for people pulling on your energy, or for people taking advantage of you, or for people making you responsible for their emotions. When you're not available for that energetically, you don't even have to say anything. People can feel that, right? And they're just like, oh, I'm not going to say that to her. I'm not going to mess with her, right? Aren't there certain people that you can think about in your life where you're just like, oh yeah, I would never like say that to that person, right? Because you know that they wouldn't be available for that. You can feel that on an energetic level, right? So when it comes to boundaries, once you're holding a certain energy within yourself, you don't even really have to say anything. Okay. And really what that goes back to, for those of you that are just popping on, I just suggest watching from the beginning. Really what that comes back to is how are you honoring yourself and holding yourself in the highest regard based on what you truly want and what's truly in alignment with who you really are. But what that really comes back to is self-worth, right? Like how do you truly feel about yourself? And how are you stepping into a place of feeling truly worthy versus thinking that you deserve a lot less than you do, right? Which is more childhood programming, which is a whole nother topic, right? But essentially, all of this stuff is really related to worthiness, because if you don't feel worthy, there's no way that you can hold yourself in a high regard. Okay, so as far as the boundaries and money piece, why are boundaries and money so deeply related? And believe me, I know this firsthand because now I joke that every time I make more money, it's like, okay, what boundaries am I going to have to set with people? How am I going to have to up my boundaries this time? Because literally every time I make more money, I have to set more boundaries, or I have to hold a certain a new level of an energetic boundary within myself. So I'm in the middle of another up level right now. I'm launching this new program, which I will tell you guys about in a couple minutes. And I was just really forced to set a really strong energetic boundary with my husband, where I actually, this one was one where I had to really talk and say some really hard things that I really needed to say, to be really, really crystal clear about what my boundary is in a way that I've never done before in my entire life. So I share that because this literally was required of me in order to get to this next level. So every time we get to a new level in our growth, whether it's financially, in business, in relationships, we have to hold better boundaries. And the reason why is because boundaries, like I said before, are directly related to where you're honoring yourself, where you're holding yourself in the highest regard, and your self-worth. And more money is directly related to more self-worth. It's literally like they're showing me the scale, right? Like that image of the scale, like that old-fashioned scale, where it's like they just, every time one rises, the other one, and every time the other one rises, the other one rises. That's just how it is. So because boundaries are a huge reflection of your self-worth, your boundary and money and self-worth are always going up and up and up equally together. So every time that you raise your boundaries, you raise your self-worth and you raise the amount of money that you're making. It's not that confusing. But I think really the point that I was really shown of getting across today is around boundaries not being something that you necessarily have to say, but an energy you have to hold. And really why it's so important right now is because in this eclipse portal, we're really being pushed to honor ourselves in a much deeper way. And anywhere where we're holding on to patterns of self-betrayal need to be released and really looked at why we may still be betraying ourselves and how we can shift that into holding ourselves in the highest regard and being really honest with ourselves about what we truly want, how we actually feel, and what's truly in alignment with your soul, your highest good, and what you know you're meant to be doing at this time on the planet. So that was the big message that came through around this time specifically. And then also this Jupiter and Aries energy, which you guys have been hearing me talk about because I'm kind of obsessed with it. So sorry if I just keep talking about it nonstop. But so Jupiter expands. And again, I'm not an astrologer, but I have been studying astrology for many years. So I have a pretty decent understanding of like the energies of this stuff. So Jupiter expands, right? It makes things bigger when Jupiter is in a sign. And the sign of Aries is all about like new beginnings, taking action. It's a fire sign, and it's really about like birthing something new. So that's why like birthing a new way of relating to yourself, a new way of being to yourself that is in alignment with your highest good, your highest timeline, and the contribution that you know you came here to share. All of that is being expanded right now. So we kind of have no choice but to step into this greater state of alignment with who we really are, what we're really capable of, and what we're really meant to be doing. So it all kind of goes together with the eclipse portal, this energy, and this energy that I've been talking about boundaries, releasing codependency, this new paradigm of relationships. And really, but the new paradigm of relationships is also really centered around your relationship with yourself. Because the other thing I always say, and like some of you may get sick of me saying this, but we treat ourselves the way our parents treated us until we get conscious about it and we start to clear those patterns. But we will treat ourselves the way our parents treated us. So if your parents were very critical of you, if they emotionally manipulated you, if they betrayed you, if they abandoned you, even if it was emotionally, you will do that to yourself. So where are you abandoning yourself? Where are you betraying yourself? Where are you denying yourself what you actually truly want? So what we're really doing here is we're redefining a relationship with ourselves that's in alignment with our highest good and our highest timeline, versus treating ourselves the way our parents treated us from these old patterns of codependency, criticism, lack, scarcity, or all these lower frequency energies. We're literally changing into these higher frequency energies of relating that are much more about honoring your energy, harmonizing with your energy, and really like cultivating your gifts, essentially. So that's the big message here. That's what this is all about this week, is honoring yourself. And a great journaling prompt for this could just be like every day you could write like 3 to 5 ways that you're honoring your energy today, and what that really looks like for you to start really cultivating that. Hey, if you're just coming on, let me know who you are, because I can't see who everyone is because I'm using a StreamYard. But I'm really glad that all you guys are here. So if you're just popping on to, just go back and watch from the beginning, because I talk about boundaries and your relationship with yourself and codependency and money, which is always a great topic. And right now, I'm just going to talk a little bit about my very special announcement, where you are hearing it here first. Actually, no, the Women in Quantum Priestess heard it first, but this is the first place I'm announcing this publicly. But this has been in the works for a long time. So, oh, hi, Maria. How are you? Okay, so right now I am birthing into being, and it is launching my certification program called the Metamorphosis Method, where I have literally created a body of work to teach you how to do what I do. So you will have the opportunity to be certified in my methodology, which includes all of the tools from the Metamorphosis. You will be certified in facilitating breath work for your clients. You'll be certified in facilitating energy work for your clients, and using my methodology around how I help people move through familial and ancestral trauma very quickly, efficiently, and streamlined. So I'm going to be showing you exactly how to do what I do, exactly how to use the tools that I use to help your clients create the results that my clients get. Very efficient and streamlined results to move through familial and ancestral trauma. And I'm going to be teaching you how to do this. And I am so excited about it. So this is a 9-month program. And it is 2 calls a month, plus you have practice sessions with people. So you have 2 practice sessions a month plus 2 calls a month. And it's a very high level of support, very close-knit community of women. Also, for the women who've been in the Metamorphosis already, you will have special pricing on it. It's going to be 50% off for you. So definitely reach out to me if you've been in the Metamorphosis already and you want to talk about doing this program. Also, we are in pre-sale pricing until June 1st. So that is $2,000 off the program, which is a really amazing deal. And we're kind of like, this is the inaugural round. So it's kind of like more exciting and more intensive, because after this round, I'm going to have the video recordings, and then the calls are just going to be Q&A. But this round, I'm teaching everything live. So you're going to get to watch me like model the tools live, and you get to ask questions live. So this is like a really, really special time to join this program. This has been in the works for a really long time, and I'm so excited to finally be birthing it into the world. So I'm going to drop the link here so you guys can look at all the details about it and see what you get. There's also an application, because I think I'm only going to take about 10 women, because I want it to be very intimate, and I want everyone to have, because not only are you going to be learning these tools, but this is also going to be like a huge transformation process for everybody who comes in. And you're going to be able to take these tools that I teach you and use them with your clients and really add a whole new dimension to whatever it is that you do. So I'm going to drop the link here. Please reach out to me with any questions. You're going to see me talking about it and posting about it a lot more. But this is going to be really big, and it's going to be really special. So like I said, I'm only taking 10 women. If you've been in the metamorphosis already, reach out to me so I can give you the special pricing. And right now we are in pre-sale until June 1st. So you have a little bit of time. And yeah, it's going to be super, super amazing. So reach out to me with questions. I'm going to put the link here with all of the details. And that is all I have for today. I'm sending you guys so much love, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.